let me tell you about something that I saw that was pretty worrying. So there's this company that has recently gone bankrupt. I think they had a total debt of about $190 million, which is pretty much quite a lot of debt. And they were, according to themselves, they were totally incapable of paying their debt. They did their best. They even went to the bank. They went to some investors. They wanted to collect fresh money, a fresh line of credit, and all that kind of jazz. But eventually, it just couldn't be salvaged, the companies. So they had to go to court and file for bankruptcy. That was pretty much it. It's a construction company, by the way. And they had about 435 employees at the time of bankruptcy, which means a lot of people are losing their jobs, right? It's pretty bad. Obviously, I I feel for those who lost their jobs. And I would feel for the owners, but really not. Because I saw an interview with, I think it was the former CEO or the former chairman of the board or whatever it was. And the guy just appeared so unlikable. He appeared so disingenuous, so fake, so two-faced. He just appeared like your archetypical pathological liar. You know, the jerk-ass boss who lies, who takes all the money for himself, who doesn't want to help you when things are tight, who always blames others and points his finger across the table to blame somebody else but himself. Like the archetypical typical guy doesn't want to take ownership. And there's a particular instance really that caught my mind because it was just laughable. So here's the actual instance, or here's the thing that I'm referring to. This construction company, they obviously had a lot of projects, or rather, they were involved in a lot of projects. So they had various subcontractors, and they had obviously a lot of employees. So these subcontractors and their employees needed to be, they needed to travel across the country because they were working from the north to the south, from the west to the east, all over the country, right? So they needed to ride by airplane. Now, here is the very curious case. When it comes to most, if not all, of these regular construction companies who have their employees working across the country, most of them have these deals with the major airlines and they book tickets in advance, and they probably get some group discounts, I would believe. There's none of the major companies, and I know this because I've been in this industry for quite some time now, so I'm in touch with it. None of these, none of these big construction companies. I'm talking about the construction companies that are bigger than the one that actually went bankrupt. None of them have their own planes or airplanes, but this company had. And here is what the guy said, the former CEO, when he was questioned about the plane. He said, quote, "First we had an airplane and it was a fun little thing." What? What are you saying? First you had an airplane and it was a fun little thing. Oh, so you're having the airplane for fun? And you don't really care that your bills aren't getting paid, your subcontractors aren't getting paid, you're accepting dinner for your for your workers for millions of dollars, and you don't want to pay for the dinners because there was some catering company that wasn't getting paid either. And yet you have a plane? And then he continued on to say, but then COVID hit, and then the gas prices surged, and so we decided to invest in a bigger and more expensive airplane that could actually fly our guys to and fro their shifts. What? You mean to tell me that first you had an airplane and that was just for fun? Then COVID hit and you couldn't use it as much, and fuel costs increased, And because of those three seemingly disadvantages, especially to your economy, you invested in a bigger airplane? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. And it certainly doesn't make any sense knowing that these bigger construction companies who still are, intact, don't buy their own airplanes to fly their guys in and out, because that's not normal. Because airplanes are expensive to own. What does that tell you, really? What sort of an owner does that? Oh, and by the way, there are only 2 members on the board. Think about that. This is a multi-million-dollar company that generates revenue for hundreds of millions of dollars annually. And they don't have more than 2 people on the board? Isn't that kind of strange? Maybe those 2 guys know each other from childhood. Just a thought. Corruption much? Don't look at me. I'm just making suggestions. I'm just thinking because I'm dumb. Anyway, the guy appears disingenuous. He literally looks like the archetypical lazy guy on a construction site who rather wants to sit inside his truck or his excavating machine and listen to music and swipe right on Tinder and drink beer and smoke and do anything else but do work. He's the exact sort of guy that I've seen time and time again. And you know what? Most of these guys actually fall asleep at times, because I've seen them. They're sitting there in their excavating machines, or the excavators, or in their trucks going, like that. No joke. So, bottom line is, if you want to persuade somebody, be persuasive and look like you actually are about your business. This guy was doing the opposite. If you want to learn more about persuasion and sales, get subscribed to my email list. The link to do so is in the episode description wherever you're watching and or listening to this. And I'll see you there.